Tianda, a girl full of energy, was naturally as lucky as a 7. She liked to draw, play baseball, and dreamed of building a super beautiful house. Born into a loving family, her parents ran an ice cream shop, which everyone adored. But today, Tianda was torn apart by a cold-faced guy who didn't like to talk. At the Wei Lai Aircraft Manufacturing Company, Su Mu, a genius aircraft designer, announced the cancellation of the upcoming aircraft launch. Being someone with a high IQ and a mild case of OCD, he believed that everything of his must be perfect. Even though doing so was somewhat understandable, this action was so very Su Mu. Su Mu was testing the aircraft, unaware that it had been following Tianda the whole way. Terrified, Tianda stopped her car and argued with it. Seeing the aircraft rushing towards her, in a panic, Tianda used the baseball bat in her hand and smashed it. The chip on the aircraft fell into Tianda's clothes. She panicked and fell into a mud puddle. After getting up, she immediately chased after Su Mu to demand justice, attracting a crowd of onlookers. But Su Mu was as if frozen, unable to say a word. Tianda mistakenly thought Su Mu was deaf and mute, so she used sign language to ask him if he was using the aircraft to secretly film her. Su Mu was a bit speechless. A child who seemed very knowledgeable spoke up. The aircraft doesn't have a camera. That older sister broke that guy's aircraft. She should have to pay for it. Amidst the noise of the crowd, Tianda opened her phone, but after the recent fall, the phone was also broken. She had no choice but to write her phone number for Su Mu. Su Mu, from beginning to end, still hadn't opened his mouth. Seeing Tianda about to fall, he reached out to catch her, but quickly realized something was wrong and let go. Tianda took yet another hard fall. Tianda had graduated from university, was about to go study abroad, and her parents' new shop was also about to open. Tianda, feeling dejected, returned to the shop, deciding to confess to her parents that she had failed the study abroad exam. She decided to take the exam again in the second half of the year and also stay by her parents' side. Her parents weren't angry at all, just slightly against Tianda's desire to stay with them. It turned out that they had long planned to enjoy their world as a couple and would be going on an overseas trip in a few days. Tianda was repairing some things in the ice cream shop when she carelessly got herself suspended and was again scared half to death by Su Mu passing by. Tianda pleaded with Su Mu for help, but Su Mu only helped her adjust her position, then silently left. Su Mu took the broken aircraft back to the company. At this time, Tianda was talking badly about him to Tang Mu, a sales clerk at the shop. Tang Mu very seriously told her that they were incompatible and absolutely must not be alone together. Yan Yi, Su Mu's assistant, saw him return and immediately launched into a tirade. And seeing Su Mu not say anything, she understood and quickly told someone to pour him a glass of iced water. It turned out that Su Mu had a social communication disorder, and when feeling anxious or scared, he would lose his voice and had to quickly relax to recover. Yan Yi and Mia, the chairwoman of the company, were worried and spinning around like tops, but didn't know what had happened to Su Mu. The ice cream shop received an order from the company across the street, even though they hadn't opened yet, but Tianda made a few extra portions to bring over there. Yan Yi, a real player, got cornered by his ex-girlfriend right in front of the company entrance. Tianda was passing by, saw the injustice, and stepped in to help, giving the girl an ice cream. The next second, Yan Yi had ice cream all over his face and was being called a cheater. Even though there was only one ice cream left, Tianda felt it was totally worth it. In the elevator, Tianda ran into Su Mu again. Su Mu snatched the ice cream from her hand and ate it happily right in front of her surprised eyes. Because the ice cream was so good, Su Mu gave her a few smiles as bright as flowers. Tianda watched Su Mu walk out of the elevator in a daze, thinking to herself that he must be a Gemini. Otherwise, how could he change so fast? Stepping out of the elevator, Su Mu was able to talk normally, leaving Yan Yi stunned once again. Tianda in the elevator wasn't so lucky because the elevator broke down. Recently, Su Mu had to go to Star Moon Mountain to test the aircraft, so Mia told him to move straight to his old house for convenience. After finally being rescued from the elevator, Tianda went back to the shop and immediately dragged Tang Mu out for a drink. Su Mu tasted Tianda's ice cream once and could never forget it, but when he went to buy some, the shop was already closed. Neither Tianda nor Tang Mu had ever been in love, but they were both looking forward to the future. Tianda hoped to find someone she could stargaze with. Mia took Su Mu to the villa, which happened to be across from Tianda's house, which had been abandoned for years. Early the next morning, Tianda's parents had to go to the airport, and they pulled their daughter, who who was sound asleep out of bed, calling her to come help at the shop. While testing the aircraft, Su-mu lost control and crashed straight into the balcony of the villa across the street. To get his aircraft back, Su-mu went to knock on the door, but Tianda was taking a shower and didn't hear anything at all. Su-mu, thinking no one was home, climbed over the wall directly to get his aircraft, only to be caught by Tianda, who had just finished showering. She screamed, "Pervert!" In this situation, Su-mu once again became so nervous that he couldn't speak. Tianda grabbed a fruit knife to defend herself, but unexpectedly, when he took off his hat, it turned out to be the unlucky guy she had met yesterday. Su-mu couldn't say a word, so he took out the key to the house across the street. Tianda then suspected he had moved there with bad intentions and aggressively chased him away. Su-mu went downstairs and back to his house, but Tianda continued to follow him, asking questions. A security guard passing by thought they were a young couple arguing and kindly offered some advice. Annoyed, Tianda went back home to put on makeup, getting ready to go out. Tang-mu, upon hearing that the guy had moved in across the street, told her to find out what his zodiac sign was, saying she wanted to analyze it for her. Tianda and Su-mu left their houses at the same time. As a result, Su-mu's bicycle was cruising along the road, while Tianda's electric scooter broke down in the middle of the street. As soon as Su-mu arrived at the company, he saw Yin-yi getting splashed with water by his ex-girlfriend, and people were constantly teasing him along the way. Tang-mu really liked researching zodiac signs, constantly reminding Tianda that her meeting with Su-mu was a disaster, which made Tianda even more disgusted with Su-mu. Su-mu, again unable to speak, seemed to be in a very bad mood. Yin-yi tried to take him out to relieve some stress, but Su-mu didn't even pay attention. The new ice cream shop opened, and Li Di, Tianda's junior apprentice, came specially to help out. Yin-yi and Mi discussed finding a psychologist for Su-mu. Su-mu worried that he wouldn't agree to see a regular person, planning to wait until his friend Huizi returned home. Su-mu's illness had been going on for years, but it suddenly got better so quickly yesterday, which Mia found a little puzzling. Yin-yi remembered that Su-mu had been holding an ice cream yesterday, so he decided to go buy one to try. Su-mu also remembered the taste of the ice cream from yesterday, so he went to the shop across the street. Tianda pretended not to see him and called Tang-mu to serve him. Su-mu ordered several different kinds of ice cream, but none of them were the same flavor from yesterday. So, he went big and ordered one of each kind. Tianda thought he was there to cause trouble, so she angrily made a mixed ice cream cup and brought it out to him. Since they first met, Tianda still didn't know Su-mu's name. It wasn't until she saw his name tag that she realized he was actually from the company across the street and that he worked on aircraft. Tianda realized she had misunderstood Su-mu and was about to explain when Su-mu found the familiar flavor in the mixed ice cream and once again smiled at her. Su-mu paid and left, while Tianda stood there in a daze because of his smile. In the elevator, Su-mu met Li Di, who was delivering food, and coincidentally had an order for Yin-yi. Because he couldn't read the two characters, Yin-yi, he gave him the nickname King Sevenfire. And Su-mu, when he returned to the company, was able to speak normally again. Tang-mu thought that Su-mu was a Gemini, which would definitely clash with Tianda, and that she should definitely go along with him. Li Di finished delivering the food, said goodbye to Tianda, and left. Tianda said she would invite him out for a drink next time. On their first opening day, business was pretty good, and after closing, Tianda prepared to go home. On the way, because her electric scooter broke down, Tianda almost crashed into Yin-yi's car. Yin-yi saw Tianda, his eyes lit up, and he was about to strike up a conversation. But unexpectedly, Tianda recognized him as the scumbag from yesterday and completely ignored him. Her electric scooter broke down again in the middle of the road. While Tianda was fixing her scooter, Su-mu casually rode his bike past. Tianda glared at him, but unexpectedly, Su-mu got off his bike to help her fix it. After fixing it, Su-mu left without saying a word. Tianda remembered what Tang-mu had said and decided to put up with it. Isn't it about going along with him? She would just ignore his cold face. Tianda wanted to talk to Su-mu, but this strange guy went straight home. Her parents called for a video chat, and seeing that Tianda was safely home, they went to have a candlelit dinner. The ice cream Su-mu bought wasn't the flavor he liked, and he was feeling down, but then he saw Tianda dancing across the street, looking very happy, and his mood gradually improved. Su-mu didn't know why his mood suddenly got better. Could it be because of Tianda? Su-mu took his aircraft and went to knock on Tianda's door. As soon as she opened it, he said 3 words, "I want you." Tianda was hungry, so she ordered some food, but unexpectedly, the person who arrived wasn't the delivery guy, but Su-mu from across the street. Moreover, Su-mu, who had never spoken before, was now talking. Tianda was both surprised and scared. Su-mu wanted her to teach him how to make ice cream to make up for damaging his aircraft. Tianda felt like Su-mu had other intentions, but thinking about Tang Mu's advice to go along with him, she quickly agreed. Su-mu made a date with Tianda for 7 a.m. tomorrow to come to his place. However, 7 a.m. was a difficult time for her to wake up, and Tianda set over a dozen alarms to remind herself. Tianda couldn't sleep, tossing and turning in bed, reading books, but still unable to fall asleep. On the other hand, Su-mu always had a regular routine, and after reading a book, he turned off the lights and went to bed on time. The next morning, Tianda woke up on her sofa. Su-mu came to remind her that it was late. Tianda quickly followed him back to his house. Su-mu even led her through the back door. As soon as they entered, Su-mu, who had obsessive-compulsive disorder, immediately arranged the shoes that Tianda had carelessly thrown off. Then, while talking on the phone, he also kept track of Tianda's ice cream making steps. After making the ice cream, Tianda stood next to him, playing with Su-mu's aircraft, while Su-mu, because of his OCD, continued to rearrange it. While he was still on the phone, Tianda quickly touched up her lipstick, but unexpectedly, Su-mu saw that the ice cream was finished and immediately invited her out. Tianda rolled her eyes and left angrily. Su-mu tasted his favorite flavor and felt great. After Tianda left, Su-mu tried to make it again using her method, but unexpectedly, the taste was completely different from the ice cream that Tianda made. Su-mu then assumed that Tianda had sneaked away to put on lipstick so she could secretly add something to it. Tianda was at home, angrily cursing, when Su-mu knocked on the door again. To avoid trouble, Tianda opened the door and gently asked what he wanted. Su-mu said that Tianda hadn't taught him how to make ice cream yet. Tianda refused, saying that she was taking a shower and that the water pipes were broken. Su-mu went into her house to help fix the water pipes. Tianda was video calling her mom when Su-mu ran over to ask where she kept the toolbox, and her mom saw him. Tianda made up an excuse, saying that he was a plumber, but Su-mu was so handsome. Who would believe he was a plumber? After hanging up, she almost fell into Su-mu's arms. He had fixed the water pipes, and Tianda just needed to clean up a little before she could go over. Su-mu was indeed very handsome. Tianda couldn't deny that, but she wasn't so bad either. Tianda dolled herself up before going over, but Su-mu, a straight guy through and through, didn't notice anything different about Tianda. Tianda put on a show, turned on some music, and then started making ice cream. Su-mu held his notebook next to her, taking notes very seriously. Tianda was frustrated with his straight behavior, but Su-mu very keenly noticed that her hair was a little in the way, so he grabbed a hair tie and tied her hair up for her. Tianda said thank you, but immediately after, the feeling of being touched disappeared. He was just worried about hair falling into the ice cream. Tianda tried to strike up a conversation, asking if he had been testing aircraft last time. Su-mu was very cold, and he didn't care about anything that wasn't related to making ice cream. The ice cream was done, and Tianda coolly left considering the matter finished. On the way home, she suddenly realized, how did Su-mu have a hair tie in his house? Did he have a girlfriend? Li Di called, inviting Tianda to go play baseball, but since she hadn't slept well last night, she decided to stay home and catch up on sleep. Su-mu tried to make the ice cream again using Tianda's method, but it still wasn't her flavor. Su-mu realized that only the ice cream made by Tianda had the desired effect. This morning, the ice cream made by Tianda was put away in his refrigerator. Su-mu tasted a bit, further confirming this thought. Tianda woke up and decided to go painting. Su-mu was busy testing his aircraft and was under a lot of pressure. He wanted to eat ice cream to relieve the stress, but discovered that he had eaten all the ice cream made by Tianda. Just when Su-mu wanted some ice cream, he saw Tianda go outside. Tianda was enjoying painting, but unexpectedly, Su-mu's aircraft flew over. This time it was there to take photos using the camera. Tianda realized that Su-mu was trying to trick her, and quickly suppressed her anger, so she didn't smash it. Just as she was about to pack up and leave, the aircraft lost control and flew toward her. Su-mu quickly shielded her. Tianda quickly bandaged Su-mu's wounds, saying that they were even now. Su-mu said that he had to eat ice cream every day because the ice cream made by Tianda was more effective than ice. Tianda was a bit speechless. This guy was really weird. To thank Su-mu, Tianda had no choice but to agree to make ice cream for him every day. Sumu seemed to be plotting something, and, fearing that she wouldn't be able to wake up at night, he made a date with her for 7 p.m. Although she found it very strange, Tianda didn't know what to say. In the following days, Tianda went to Sumu's house every day to make ice cream, but nothing went beyond that. Their seemingly peaceful relationship had subtle shifts. Sumu's mood was getting better and better, and Tianda's luck was also changing. They often ran into each other at the top of the mountain, one testing his aircraft, the other painting sky castles, and neither bothered the other. But Tianda had a feeling that something would definitely happen between them, that they wouldn't just be two parallel lines unrelated to each other. Sumu and Tianda walked side by side down the mountain, planning to make ice cream for him back at his house. Sumu noticed that Tianda had been painting a lot of pictures of houses lately, so Sumu asked her about it. He didn't have a ride, and the company had an emergency. Coincidentally, Tianda had to go to the shop anyway, so she gave him a ride. Tang Mu was a little surprised to see the two of them come together. Tianda climbed up a ladder to change a sign, and Sumu helped her for a bit before leaving. Yin Yi reminded everyone in the office that Lu Tai, the son of the chairman of one XIN group, was a difficult person to deal with, and specifically wanted to see Sumu. Sumu calmly walked into the office, and Mia quickly introduced him to Lu Tai. Lu Tai was arrogant, conceited, and rude. After speaking with Sumu for a few sentences, he stood up and left. Tang Mu exclaimed that the two of them were progressing too fast. Tianda explained that she was just helping Sumu a little. But then again, Tianda's luck had indeed gotten much better. Tang Mu discovered that Sumu had a huge influence on Tianda's luck. As long as she didn't anger Sumu, she would definitely be able to overcome her. Bad luck. Yin Yi was passing by the ice cream shop again, and he was trying to sweet-talk some other girl. Tianda couldn't help but sigh. Sumu was indeed much better than those scumbags. Sumu didn't care about Lu Tai, which made me feel much more at ease. Tianda made an excuse to stay at the shop to wait for Sumu. She had finished making the ice cream, and Tang Mu had gone home after work first. Sure enough, Sumu came, but Mia said that she wanted to take him home, so she didn't go with Tianda. Seeing Sumu get into Mia's car, Tianda felt very conflicted. Li Di asked Tianda to go out for a drink, and told his friends not to mention that his birthday was coming up. He wanted to surprise her. Tianda was listless, her mind was completely blank. Lately, Sumu had been in a great mood, and Mia noticed it too, and was very happy for him. Tianda suddenly asked Li Di if a guy who likes a girl would find all kinds of reasons to get close to her. Li Di's friends, hearing this, thought that his crush on Tianda had been exposed and quickly tried to cover it up. Li Di then asked Tianda to go play baseball together tomorrow night. Mia's neighbor was doing some repairs, so she decided to sleep over at the villa tonight. On the way home, Tianda saw that the car was still parked in front of Sumu's house, and she felt a little annoyed. The wound on Sumu's hand was still bandaged with Tianda's silk scarf. Mia wanted to help him rebandage it, but he refused, insisting on using this scarf. Sumu was looking at a picture of Tianda. He didn't go to sleep until Mia reminded him. Meanwhile, Tianda was across the street, starting to overthink, guessing that the owner of the hair tie and the car was the same woman. Tianda said that these things didn't concern her, but she ran to the rooftop to ambush. Tianda slept on the rooftop all night. The next day, she was awakened by the sound of Sumu and Mia talking across the street. They were laughing and talking together as they got into the car and drove off. Tianda saw this scene and felt a pang of bitterness. Sumu's puppy-like persona in front of Mia was completely different from the wolf-like persona in front of her. Tianda complained about Sumu and then drove her electric scooter to the ice cream shop, only to run into their car again. After that happened a few times, Tianda had no choice but to take a different route, but coincidentally, that road was under construction, and she was incredibly unlucky. Mia asked Sumu to have dinner together tonight, but he said he had plans and declined. Tianda blankly asked Tang Mu, if a girl stays at a guy's place and also gives him a ride to work, what is the relationship between them? Tang Mu naturally thought they were lovers, but maybe they were just very close friends. Tianda became even more upset and could only try to think of it positively. When Sumu's colleagues came to the ice cream shop, they said that the relationship between Mia and Sumu wasn't normal, and Tianda became even more frustrated. Mia brought over some handmade ice cream, saying that she wanted the boss to bring ice cream to Sumu every day, but Sumu still refused. Tianda was hesitant about whether or not to go to Sumu's place to make ice cream, while Sumu was working in the building across the street and occasionally looked over at the ice cream shop. Some more colleagues came to the ice cream shop. Tianda overheard them saying that Su Mu and Yin Yi were the founding members of the company, which is why they had such a good relationship with Mia. Hearing these words, Tianda became even more upset and decided to go home first. On the way, she was completely distracted and ended up getting hit by a car and veering off into the roadside bushes. Tianda felt like she was having a streak of bad luck and went home dejectedly. Su Mu went to the ice cream shop looking for Tianda, only to discover that she wasn't there and had even left without buying any ice cream. Tianda was sad, bought a table full of food, and watched movies while eating, and her mood gradually improved. Su Mu had a girlfriend, so naturally Tianda couldn't get too close to him. She decided to be a cold and distant neighbor to him. Li Di called, and Tianda remembered that she had made plans to go play baseball with him, so she quickly left the house. Li Di had secretly admired Tianda for many years and was just looking for an excuse to hang out with her today. Su Mu returned home, unable to focus on reading, and occasionally looked over at the house across the street. After playing baseball for a while, Tianda ran to the side to rest, claiming that she had a stomachache, and quickly ran to the bathroom. Meanwhile, her friends, following Li Di's signal, had left. When Tianda returned, she only saw Li Di by himself. She remembered that it was Li Di's birthday today and insisted that they all come back and go to karaoke together. Tianda happily sang and danced at the karaoke place, completely forgetting that she had to go to Su Mu's house to make ice cream at 7 o'clock. Su Mu could only drink ice to ease his discomfort. Tianda gave Li Di a limited edition glove that he had wanted, and Li Di was so happy that he wouldn't let it go. Everyone had a great time at the birthday party tonight, and Tianda didn't notice Su Mu's calls. Tianda always treated Li Di like a younger brother. Hearing these words, Li Di felt a little unhappy. Tianda wanted to help her friend's brother design a proposal, promising to help decorate the proposal venue tomorrow. At the end of the party, Li Di drove a very drunk Tianda home. Su Mu saw this scene, feeling conflicted, but Li Di quickly left her house. Su Mu immediately ran across the street, ringing the doorbell for a long time before Tianda slowly opened the door. Tonight, Tianda didn't make ice cream for Su Mu, nor did she answer her phone, so Su Mu immediately went to her house to question her. Tianda angrily said that she would make up for the ice cream later. When she looked up, she saw the car from yesterday, but unexpectedly, it was Yin Yi who got out. Yin Yi was surprised that Tianda and Su Mu were neighbors. Tianda rolled her eyes, called him a scumbag, and went back inside her house. Yin Yi seemed to have something going on with Tianda, and Su Mu's expression immediately darkened. Yin Yi had come to deliver blueprints to Su Mu, and didn't forget to say something cruel. Anyone who likes Tianda is really unlucky for 8 lifetimes. Su Mu's reaction was very strong. All night long, Su Mu tossed and turned, unable to sleep because of Yin Yi's question. Do you like her? Early the next morning, Tianda woke up on the sofa and received a text message from Li Di checking in on her. Tianda was determined not to pay attention to Su Mu anymore, even imagining Su Mu's relationship with Mia in a dirty way, assuming that he was a gigolo who relied on women to advance. Tianda made plans to meet Li Di and her friends. Su Mu stood in front of his house with a frustrated expression, demanding ice cream, but Tianda ignored him. Mia told Su Mu that the company's beach party was in a few days, and their relationship would be made public on that day. Tang Mu noticed that Tianda had been distracted lately and found it strange. Tianda's luck should have been good lately. Tianda made some ice cream, told Tang Mu to bring it to Su Mu later, and then took 2 extra servings with her, and coincidentally met Yin Yi on a date with another girl. Su Mu received a serving of food, which was ice cream that Tianda had made with her own hands. Tianda continued delivering the next serving, and Yin Yi, as if running a show, also followed her, dating another girl, and even making the excuse that he had just gone to the hospital. Tianda once again stepped in as a hero. When Yin Yi went to the bathroom, she told the girl that she was his doctor, implying that Yin Yi was living a reckless life. As soon as Yin Yi came back from the bathroom, he was met with another blessing for his scumbag self. Su Mu was testing his aircraft, and coincidentally, Tianda and Li Di were also nearby, helping her friend's brother design his proposal, but Su Mu didn't pay attention. He once again went to the ice cream shop to look for Tianda. Tang Mu asked Su Mu about their relationship. Su Mu insisted that it was an ice cream making relationship, and bought all the ice cream in the shop. Tang Mu couldn't make all of that by herself, and, naturally following Su Mu's intention, called Tianda. But Tianda was busy and couldn't come back. Sumu paid and left without even taking the ice cream. Tianda and Li Di were helping their friend decorate the proposal venue. Tianda showed off her painting skills on the wall. Because they ran out of paint, Li Di went to the house of an old man passing by to borrow some. The old man thought that Tianda was his older sister, and Li Di quickly explained. Sumu's aircraft test had no errors. Mia wanted to hold a celebration party tomorrow night, but Sumu didn't seem to be in a good mood. Tianda's parents suddenly returned home. Tianda quickly went to greet them, and Li Di happened to drive by, so he went with her. Sumu asked Yin Yi to help him with something, and Yin Yi immediately went to the ice cream shop, saying that he had something he needed to discuss with Tang Mu. The company's anniversary celebration needed a sweet supplier, and Yin Yi had come to find Tang Mu for this very reason. The price they were offering was hard to refuse, but the order was also huge, and Tang Mu couldn't handle it all by herself. Yin Yi told Tang Mu to think carefully, and winked at her as he was about to leave. On the way home with her parents, Li Di and Tianda were talking very happily, and even mentioned Father Tian's proposal from back in the day. Sumu heard some noise from the house across the street, and quickly got out of his car. He saw Tianda and her parents get out of Li Di's car. As he was about to leave, Li Di reminded Tian not to forget about the proposal tomorrow. Sumu stood there stunned for a moment, and then casually walked by. Sumu saw Li Di bring Tianda's family home and mention the proposal tomorrow. He was stunned for a moment, and then pretended to be just walking by. Tianda saw him, and quickly pulled her parents inside. Sumu's mood was terrible the whole way home. He had made a promise and should have followed through, but Tianda seemed to have forgotten all about making ice cream. Tianda's mother felt that Sumu looked very familiar, like the plumber from that day, but Tianda denied it. Tang Mu came to Tianda's house to find her, and happened to see Sumu casually walk by. Sumu had asked Yin Yi to help him find a house, and he would move out after packing his things. Tang Mu told Tianda's parents that the company across from the ice cream shop needed to order sweets for the party, for about 200 people. At first, her parents hesitated about whether or not to take the order, but Tianda thought that if they were going to do it, they would have to do it big, and even if she had to ask her friends for help, she had to take this order. Father Tian called all his brothers and junior apprentices and found some backup so that they could accept this huge order. Tang Mu mysteriously said that she saw Sumu at the entrance of the neighborhood, and that he was on the phone, apparently with a girl. Tianda pretended not to care, but unexpectedly, Tang Mu said that they were getting ready to move, and that the two of them were going to live together. Tang Mu said that she had read Sumu's fortune today, and that his love life would soon bloom, and it would be the passionate kind of love. The more Tianda heard, the more upset and angry she became. Early the next morning, Tianda and Tang Mu transformed into powerful career women, and went to the company to deliver the sweets. Tianda was surprised to see that Yin Yi was also part of this company. What a small world. Tang Mu brought all the different flavors of ice cream from the shop. Yin Yi tasted each one, without saying whether they were good or not, and even fed Tang Mu a spoonful. After flirting with Tang Mu, Yin Yi wanted to sign the contract right away. Tang Mu was shy, so Tianda quickly pulled her away. Tang Mu thought that Yin Yi was a pretty good guy, and Tianda quickly told her that he was a scumbag and that she had to stay away from him. At this celebration party, Sumu, as the lead designer, had to participate and communicate with people more. Mia comforted him, telling him not to worry and that he just had to show up with her and announce their relationship. Tianda and Tang Mu successfully signed the contract, and her parents quickly called all their family members. Because of this order, Tianda didn't have time to go paint with Li Di as she had promised, and Li Di was a bit unhappy. At the agreed-upon time, Tianda and everyone else arrived at the location to set up. It was a very grand scale. Yin Yi and Sumu arrived late, and Tang Mu seemed a bit worried. Mia and Sumu appeared together, and at this moment, Tianda realized that Mia was actually the company's chairman. The more she compared herself, the more upset she became. Tianda, feeling frustrated, ran back to the car to be alone for a while, and then took off her cumbersome coat and returned to the party. Sumu, who had been following Mia around to socialize, saw Tianda and went over to her side, reminding her that it had been 2 days since she had made ice cream for him. Tianda angrily said that she would bring it over later. Coincidentally, Mia also wanted to eat some ice cream, so Tianda had to go give it to her. A little girl passing by accidentally bumped into Tianda, and the ice cream got on Mia's dress. However, Mia was very gentle and not at all angry. Sumu quickly took off his jacket and put it around her. Seeing Sumu and Mia looking so perfect together, Tianda understood. What was she getting upset about? Tianda, feeling heartbroken, went to get some drinks. Mia even went over to ask if she was okay. Sumu followed and went to find Tianda to demand his ice cream. Tianda glanced at Mia and said, "Tell your girlfriend to make it." Sumu smiled at Tianda and unexpectedly leaned down and kissed her. At this moment, there was still ice cream on her lips. After the kiss, Sumu introduced Tianda. "This is my older sister, Mia." Tianda stood there dumbfounded, her face as red as a monkey's butt, and quickly ran to the beach to take a walk. Sumu had just kissed her in front of his sister, and Tianda was so moved she couldn't stop replaying the kiss in her mind. So sweet and refreshing. Tianda told herself that she hadn't expected Sumu to create this surprise. It turned out that she had misunderstood Sumu, and he wasn't a bad guy. But Sumu had just said that he would come back to find her later, and Tianda's heart was once again in turmoil. Mia and Sumu went on stage together to introduce the new product and announce their sibling relationship. Tangmu was shocked to hear this news and quickly pulled Tianda over, saying that her future was bright, but Tianda was still lost in the memory of that kiss. Tianda was eating ice cream nearby when Lu Tai, that sleazy guy, came over and harassed her, gradually drawing everyone's attention. Sumu quickly ran over to shield Tianda. Lu Tai then dragged Mia and Sumu into it, saying that they were just a rundown aircraft manufacturing company. Sumu activated his domineering president mode, declaring that he was ending their partnership with Wan Xin and kicking Lu Tai out. Tianda was moved once again. The party ended, and Tianda's parents wanted to go for a drink, telling Tangmu to take Tianda home. After saying goodbye to Huizi, Mia and Sumu left together. She was a little tired today and didn't have time to ask Sumu about Tianda. Sumu called Tianda, but she had left her phone in the car so she didn't hear it. Tangmu saw her clothes on the back seat and assumed that she had fallen asleep, completely unaware that Tianda wasn't in the car. Sumu hesitated for a moment and then went home with Yeni. Tianda returned to the parking lot, only to realize that her car was gone and her phone was gone too. Mia had given her a ride home. On the way, both Mia and Tianda felt very awkward and didn't know how to start a conversation. After dropping Sumu off, Yeni went out on a date with his girlfriend and coincidentally ran into Lu Tai's group, who were still making a ruckus about what had happened tonight. On the surface, Yeni seemed calm, but he picked up a bottle of wine and smashed it directly on them. Tangmu drove back home and only then realized that Tianda wasn't in the car. In a panic, Mia offered to drive her back. Tianda turned around and saw Sumu standing there. The atmosphere between the two of them was tense and incredibly ambiguous. Tianda quickly pulled Tangmu back home, and Sumu and Mia also returned home. He was single-handedly fighting with the other group in the bar when Li Di bravely stepped in to help. Mia, who used to live here, didn't know Tianda. It was unexpected that Sumu had only moved in for a few days and already knew her. Tianda brought home a small crab that she had found on the beach. Tangmu thought that she and Mia had a very good relationship, who knew that the two of them hadn't said a single word to each other on the way back. What surprised her even more was that Tianda and Sumu didn't even have each other on WeChat. Mia always thought that Sumu was an innocent guy, but she had not expected him to do what he did today. Tianda was also dumbfounded. Mia criticized Sumu for being so impulsive and said that he should pay attention to the circumstances next time. Sumu casually agreed and took out his phone, adding Tianda on WeChat. Receiving the friend request, Tianda was incredibly excited. Tangmu reminded her to restrain herself, but Tianda couldn't wait a single second more. After accepting the friend request, Sumu didn't say anything. His profile was also completely empty, which made Tianda a bit upset. Mia saw Sumu acting like this and realized that her younger brother was truly in love. She quickly got up and left. Sumu's workshop was almost finished being decorated. After this, he wouldn't go to the company anymore and would go into seclusion. Tianda accidentally slipped and sent a message asking, "Happy?" Sumu was looking at her profile and quickly replied, "Yeah." Tangmu was feeling awkward and quickly left. Tianda hugged her phone, feeling ecstatic, and sent another message asking him why he had done that tonight. Sumu didn't reply, but asked her to go up to the mountain to talk. Tianda quickly suppressed her excitement, freshened up a bit, and got ready to go out. Just as her parents returned home, Tianda made an excuse that her friend was heartbroken and that she had to go up the mountain to comfort her. When she got to the mountain, it was pitch black. Tianda thought that she was lost and quickly texted Sumu. Sumu suddenly appeared. Behind him was his new workshop where Tianda would come to make ice cream from now on. This house was built exactly according to Tianda's ideas. She felt like Su Mu had definitely stolen her ideas, but she was too embarrassed to say it. The ice cream was finished, and Su Mu ate it with satisfaction, thanking her. It started to rain heavily, and Tianda pushed her scooter into the workshop while getting soaked. Su Mu took out a towel and told her to dry herself off. Tianda's heart was getting sweeter and sweeter. Tianda's mother called to check up on her, and Tianda said that she was at a friend's house, telling them not to wait for her anymore. Su Mu was busy, so Tianda laid down on the sofa, replaying the voice message he had just sent her over and over, gradually falling asleep. Su Mu turned around, saw that she was sleeping soundly, and put a blanket over her. Then he picked up a book and sat down next to her. Tianda accidentally fell asleep in the wooden house at the top of the mountain. Su Mu carefully covered her with a blanket, and then gently picked up a book and sat down next to her. Outside, it was pouring rain, but inside the house, it was strangely peaceful. Tianda slept straight through until the next morning. Su Mu, seeing that she was still pretending to be asleep, exposed her. Su Mu's bicycle was broken, so Tianda gave him a ride down the mountain on her scooter. On the way, she apologized for last night, but Su Mu didn't say a word. Tianda thought that the wind was too loud and that he couldn't hear her, so she just talked to herself, unaware that Su Mu had heard everything clearly. Tomorrow night at 7 o'clock, the contract continues. Tianda shyly said goodbye to Su Mu and went back home. Seeing her father asleep on the sofa, she quietly went back to her room, but unexpectedly, her mother was already waiting to interrogate her. Tianda hadn't come home last night, and her mother was very angry. Tianda shyly said that she had only gone stargazing with a friend, and her mother quickly stopped being angry. She just told her not to go out at night next time. Tianda finished showering and lingered at the door for a long time, but still didn't see Su Mu, so she had to go on ahead. Mia and Huizi were talking about Su Mu's recent situation, and that his illness was gradually improving. In any case, this was his psychological problem, and he needed to find his own way to solve it. However, losing the partnership with Lu Tai, his design job was going to have some trouble. Huizi said that she would help her go see Lu Tai's father to talk things out. But unexpectedly, Yinny had fought with Lu Tai and his gang last night, and was even taken to the police station. This matter was considered completely over. Su Mu went to the company to hand over his work. Huizi heard that he had been liking ice cream lately, and she wanted to try some too. Tianda saw that Li Di had an injury on his hand, and quickly helped him bandage it. The proposal ceremony would start at exactly 6 p.m. Tianda planned to leave after setting up and not attend. Su Mu decided to design the aesthetics himself. Although he was very capable, doing so was a bit risky, and everyone advised him to think carefully. Huizi said that Dr. Gao could help him, but he was an old man with a childish personality, a bit difficult to deal with, and cooperation would be a little difficult. However, Yinny was very confident. After all, Su Mu was already a quirky person. Huizi gave him the address, and Su Mu and Yin drove there together. The road was a bit far, so Su Mu texted, saying that he would be home late tonight. Yanni spoke up, and Su Mu only then realized that she had been injured. Su Mu's condition had been very good lately, and Yanni asked him if he was in love. Su Mu didn't say anything. Su Mu said that he would be home late tonight, and Tianda was no longer in a hurry either. Yanni was worried that Su Mu would fail the negotiation right off the bat, so he decided that he would take the lead when they met Dr. Gao, and then Su Mu would appear. Li Di wanted to place a camera near a security camera. Tianda was worried that the security guard wouldn't agree, so she brought some food to persuade him. Unexpectedly, the security guard was the old man who had lent them paint that day. He said that he would directly copy the security camera footage for them later. Tianda had just turned around when Su Mu's and Yin Yi's car arrived. Back at the proposal venue, everything was ready, and they were just waiting for the right moment. The group quickly hid. Yin Yi and Su Mu went to look for Dr. Gao. The grumpy old man said that he didn't know them, and that they would have to find him on their own. The place was like an abandoned factory, and after searching for a long time, they still couldn't find him. Yin Yi even lost Su Mu. The main character of the proposal appeared, and after the successful proposal, those who were hiding came out and cheered in congratulations. The old man watched the proposal scene on the security camera with a loving look. Su Mu happened to walk over, saw the scene, and couldn't help but imagine that they were the ones standing there. Tianda also subconsciously dreamed about her and Su Mu's proposal and smiled happily. It started to rain, and everyone rushed to take shelter. Yin Yi and Su Mu also went to avoid the rain. Tianda and Su Mu both did a 180-degree turn and then realized that the person they had been thinking of was right next to them. When the rain stopped, Tianda didn't go to the party. She was planning to go back with Su Mu, but then Su Mu saw the aircraft in the sky and suddenly turned around and left. Su Mu suddenly chased after the aircraft, and when he arrived, he realized that the old man from just now was actually Dr. Gao. Su Mu confessed his identity, hoping to consult with Dr. Gao about some issues, but Dr. Gao bluntly refused. Yin Yi and Li Di ran into each other. After fighting together last time, they considered each other to be brothers in adversity, and they made plans to have drinks together next time. Tianda also followed them there. She had come to get some documents from Dr. Gao. Dr. Gao's attitude towards her was completely different from his attitude towards Su Mu, very gentle. When Dr. Gao asked for Tianda's address, Su Mu quickly gave the address of the wooden house on the top of the mountain first. Su Mu made a date with Tianda for 8 a.m. tomorrow at his place, then returned with Yin Yi. Yin Yi, hearing that he had found Dr. Gao but hadn't been successful, was a bit worried. Tianda realized that she might like Su Mu, but she refused to admit it. However, the image of him often popped up in her mind. Early the next morning, Tianda woke up and started making breakfast. Her parents thought that their daughter had finally become more sensible, but they didn't realize that. Tianda was running away with breakfast. The wooden house on the top of the mountain was a complete mess after last night's storm, with all the window glass broken. Su Mu's company had an emergency, so he told Tianda to go work at the ice cream shop. Lately, Tianda had been acting strangely and mysteriously. Her parents also felt it was odd, but they couldn't figure out the reason. Tianda drove Su Mu to the company, and then sadly took her breakfast to the ice cream shop. Their current ambiguous relationship left her a bit confused. Were they really in love like this? Tang Mu felt that they should clarify things. She also asked Tianda what her relationship with Su Mu was right now, but Tianda didn't know what to say. It was just that since her relationship with Su Mu had gotten better, Tianda didn't seem to be as unlucky as she was before. Tianda's parents were surprised to see her come to the ice cream shop. Tianda awkwardly said that she had brought breakfast for them, and then secretly ran away. Her parents were once again surprised. Yin Yi had only spoken to Dr. Gao for a few sentences before getting kicked out, but Su Mu had left his address on the mountain with Dr. Gao, thinking that he would definitely come looking for Tianda tomorrow. So, he decided to sketch out a design beforehand. Because time was a bit tight, Huizi also came to help. Su Mu felt a bit down and went to buy an ice cream. Tianda ran to the furniture store, buying a bunch of things, and ended up paying more than 5,000 yuan. Su Mu walked into the ice cream shop, and before he even had a chance to speak, Tang Mu took out an ice cream that Tianda had already made and gave it to him, not giving him a chance to say anything at all. Tianda helped Su Mu clean up the wooden house on top of the mountain. Before long, she had tidied up the place and made it neat and orderly. Huizi ate the ice cream that Su Mu had bought. Tianda texted him asking if the ice cream was any different, and Su Mu almost replied that it wasn't. Tianda returned home anxiously. Her parents, seeing this, were even more worried. Su Mu and Huizi finished the design sketch, and just then, their stomachs started to rumble, so they went to eat Japanese food together. Father Tian came to check on Tianda, teaching her that when looking for a boyfriend, she shouldn't care about his conditions, but he had to treat her well and make her happy. He also told her that when dating, she shouldn't rush things. Tianda felt a little embarrassed. Tianda wanted to learn about Su Mu, but she only knew that Su Mu liked to eat ice cream, had OCD, and didn't like to talk. Besides that, she knew almost nothing about him. Huizi had known Miya and Su Mu for a long time, and had always liked Su Mu, but he didn't realize it. Huizi ordered ice cream, but Su Mu didn't eat any. He only ate the ice cream that Tianda made. Huizi asked about how he dealt with Dr. Gao, but Su Mu just smiled. When they arrived at the wooden house on the top of the mountain, Su Mu realized that the place had been cleaned up. Tianda, seeing him arrive, was startled and quickly said that she had just cleaned it up for him, but Su Mu didn't seem too happy about it. The original single bed had been thrown out by Tianda and replaced with a new, large, double bed that had just been moved in. Tianda shyly said that she just wanted him to sleep more comfortably. Su Mu transferred 20,000 yuan to Tianda for the renovations, but Tianda naturally refused to accept it. Su Mu didn't say anything and left a key with Tianda. Tianda was arranging the decorations, and Su Mu followed behind her, adjusting their positions. After cleaning up, Tianda felt a bit hungry. Su Mu didn't have any special requests for food, so Tianda bought some crawfish. Tianda ate with great relish, while Su Mu felt that it was too much trouble and didn't eat any. At this time, Dr. Gao came to deliver a video to Tianda. The two ate crawfish while chatting. Dr. Gao really liked Tianda and even said that he had built a small wooden house for his wife before. Su Mu took out the design sketches, hoping that Dr. Gao would look over them, but Dr. Gao just followed Tianda around the wooden house, admiring it, and he couldn't find an opportunity. Dr. Gao really liked this place and said that he would often come here to play with Tianda in the future. To have a chance to connect with Dr. Gao, Su Mu said that they lived together. Dr. Gao left before even looking at the sketches, but he said that he would come back tonight. Tianda saw Dr. Gao off, and, knowing that Su Mu wanted Dr. Gao's help, quickly agreed to it. Su Mu felt that she had put half of the effort into this house. So for convenience, he told Tianda that she could just live here from now on and come paint whenever she wanted. Tianda thought that she could take this opportunity to learn about him, so she agreed. Tianda received a phone call from her parents and left, also telling Su Mu to put the uneaten crawfish in the refrigerator. Tianda quickly agreed with Su Mu, but when she turned around, she didn't know how to tell her parents about moving out. When she got home, Tianda's parents were sitting on the sofa with long faces, saying that they had something to tell her. It turned out that they wanted to travel to Thailand, Singapore, and Malaysia, and they were leaving tonight, even with their luggage all packed. Tianda tried to hold back her joy and scolded her parents. Her parents felt that they were a bit too much, not taking their daughter with them every time they went traveling, but they could only promise that they wouldn't do it again next time. Tianda returned to her room and started packing her things, moving to Su Mu's wooden house on top of the mountain, also taking the bottle of fine wine that Father Tian couldn't bear to drink from the wine cabinet. Dr. Gao still hadn't arrived, and Su Mu was still busy. Tianda wandered around for a while and accidentally saw the photos that the drone had taken that day in Su Mu's computer. More importantly, the photos were really bad. Tianda quickly told Su Mu to delete them all. There was one photo showing Su Mu shielding Tianda when the drone attacked, and before Tianda could save it, he had already deleted it. Su Mu finished working and turned around to see that Tianda had fallen asleep again. So he slumped down on the table to rest, gradually falling asleep too. Tianda slept for a bit, woke up, saw Su Mu sleeping soundly on the table, and secretly leaned close to his ear, whispering, "I kind of like you." Su Mu was awakened by the sound of a phone ringing, which also startled Tianda. It was late, but Dr. Gao still hadn't arrived. Su Mu told Tianda to go home. Tianda was angry and slung her backpack over her shoulder to leave, but Su Mu called her back. She thought that he wanted to ask her to stay, but unexpectedly, Su Mu just wanted to take her home. After arriving home, Su Mu, hearing that Tianda was home alone, made a date with her to have breakfast together tomorrow morning. Tianda absent-mindedly agreed. Early the next morning, Tianda had barely woken up when Su Mu was already urging her. Tianda quickly packed her things and then went outside. The two, one on a scooter, one on a bicycle, raced each other on the road to see who was faster, looking really childish. Tianda thought that Su Mu would make a lavish breakfast, but unexpectedly, it was just instant bread and yogurt. Tianda sadly drank her yogurt and accidentally got paint on her face while painting. Su Mu saw this and said he wanted to wipe the stain off her face, but ended up drawing more paint on the other side of her cheek. Tianda was completely oblivious and naively said thank you. Tianda ordered Su Mu around, telling him to make ice cream for her. Su Mu was a bit surprised, but he still did as she said. In the wooden house on the top of the mountain, Tianda and Su Mu were both busy with their own things. Tianda suddenly told Su Mu to make ice cream for her, since she had made it for him so many times. Su Mu thought that made sense, so he did as she said. Tianda stood next to him, constantly giving directions, and Su Mu gradually lost his patience. Tianda ate ice cream while playing darts. Su Mu found it a bit noisy, so he chased her outside. Tianda continued to run into trouble outside. Su Mu had barely looked up when he saw her breaking a bowl, and quickly cleaned up the broken pieces. Tianda, feeling annoyed, went back to painting, and then turned around to realize that there were 2 more gray streaks on her face. Tianda grabbed her palette, planning to get revenge, but accidentally got paint on her clothes instead. Su Mu couldn't help but laugh, and got her another set of clothes to change into. Tianda was extremely annoyed, wearing Su Mu's oversized shirt that also smelled really good. What goes around comes around. Tianda brought some grapes to Su Mu and started nagging endlessly. Su Mu ate the grapes that she had peeled, and then she finally went to the side to play by herself. Yenny was on a date. Mia asked for the address of Sumu's new workshop, planning to go there to find him. Sumu received a phone call from Mia and realized that his phone had fallen into the water. Tianda, the culprit, felt a bit embarrassed, quickly put the phone in rice, and then found a hanger to hang it up to dry. Sumu was speechless and decided to fix it himself. Someone came up the mountain, and Tianda, upon hearing that it was Mia, quickly hid, afraid of being misunderstood. Mia looked around Sumu's workshop, while Tianda hid behind things, not daring to breathe. Mia told Sumu not to eat so much ice cream, and Sumu said that he might not need to eat it anymore later. Mia mentioned Tianda. She looks very sensible and thoughtful, although a bit goofy. Tianda angrily poked her head out to glare at Mia, snatched the ice cream from Sumu, and then squatted back down. Mia casually said, "Before, Huizi liked Sumu for so long, and he never reacted at all." Tianda gnashed her teeth, and Sumu, at that exact moment, squatted down and kissed her. Mia continued to ask what the relationship between Sumu and Tianda was. Sumu stammered, unable to say anything, so Mia decided that she would ask her herself some other time. Sumu pulled Tianda up, but as soon as Mia turned her head, she squatted back down again. Mia told Sumu a few more things, and then left. At this time, Tianda finally appeared, asking Sumu why he had kissed her. Sumu retorted that she had gotten his clothes dirty, and told her to wash them for him. Yenny arrived, saw the two of them pulling at each other, and was startled, immediately interrogating Sumu and Tianda about why they were secretly together. The two of them were embarrassed and didn't know what to say. Yenny then mentioned Huizi in front of them, saying that Sumu would like the gentle, beautiful type of girl like Huizi. Sumu nodded. Tianda is exactly like that. Yenny wanted to introduce Li Di to Sumu. Tianda, upon hearing this name, panicked and quickly said that they were friends. Sumu originally didn't want to go, but upon hearing her say this, he immediately agreed. On the way, Tianda and Sumu bickered nonstop. He couldn't take it anymore and turned on some music. Li Di, seeing that Tianda had come with Yenny, was a bit surprised and also asked Sumu about how Tianda and Sumu knew each other. Yenny blurted out saying the two of them lived together. Tianda quickly explained that they were just neighbors. Li Di ordered all the dishes that Tianda liked and even won tickets to a fan meeting for Clayton, which he had been wanting to go to. Yenny realized that the two of them were very close and told Li Di, beating up Lu Tai last time wasn't a waste. It was that guy who bullied Tianda. Sumu, sitting next to her, was burning with jealousy. He finally found an opportunity and declared, "Tianda and I are not just neighbors." Tianda chimed in saying, "We're also business partners." After eating, Tianda and Li Di wanted to go play baseball, but Sumu didn't want to go. Tianda threatened him with Dr. Gao, and only then did he agree. The group rode their bikes, acting childish and racing each other on the road to see who was faster. Tianda was left behind, and Sumu, who had been riding very fast, immediately slowed down. Li Di, who was very competitive, reached the destination first. He turned around and saw that Sumu and Tianda were riding side by side, and realized that he had lost. The baseball team had a new member named Xiaoyu, and Yenny quickly ran over to greet her. Li Di and Tianda went to play baseball. Yenny stared at Xiaoyu, constantly complimenting her, while Sumu's eyes didn't leave Tianda. Tianda pulled Sumu to go play baseball, and Yenny also took this opportunity to get closer to Xiaoyu. Meanwhile, Li Di, feeling lonely, quickly chased Xiaoyu away. Sumu didn't want to play anymore, so Tianda went with him to rest. Sumu even helped her catch a ball. Tianda said that her relationship with Li Di was very good and that she was also good at playing baseball. She said that besides making aircraft, Sumu didn't know how to do anything else. On the way home, the two ran into Dr. Gao. He was holding two dead fish and looked very sad. These two fish had a special meaning for him. He had bought them while taking care of his wife, but unexpectedly, they had both died now. Dr. Gao, heartbroken, revealed that couples should cherish the present time and not waste time arguing. Hearing these words, Sumu was deep in thought. Tianda was drinking with Dr. Gao. She drank several glasses in a row, which made Sumu a bit worried, but Dr. Gao insisted on drinking, not wanting to look at his sketches either. Li Di drove Yenny back to his place. He didn't live with his parents. Yenny realized that Li Di liked Tianda. Although Li Di wouldn't admit it, Yenny said that love was about fair competition, and that he and Sumu had to be fair. Yenny had originally planned to go play baseball with Li Di tomorrow, But upon hearing that Xiao Yu wasn't going, he changed his mind. Before leaving, Dr. Gao told Su Mu to come find him in a few days, that this matter definitely had to be resolved. However, Su Mu still frowned, because Tian seemed to be drunk, but she refused to admit it. Tian promised that she would go with Su Mu to find Dr. Gao later, but on the condition that he took her to see gorillas. Su Mu went to work, and Tian slumped onto the sofa and fell asleep. Su Mu carefully put a blanket over her. Mother Su called, saying that her flight was tomorrow at 11 a.m., and told him to pick her up. Su Mu quietly agreed. After hanging up, Su Mu carried Tian to bed, and she fell asleep again, still tightly hugging Su Mu's body pillow in her arms. Li Di flipped through a graduation photo he had taken with Tianda, feeling a little melancholy. Because he didn't have his body pillow, Su Mu tossed and turned all night, unable to sleep. Tianda woke up early the next morning and realized that she was lying in bed, feeling a bit embarrassed. Seeing Su Mu still asleep on the sofa, she tiptoed closer to him. Su Mu suddenly woke up, startling her. Tianda awkwardly explained that she didn't know why she was sleeping in bed, while Su Mu still remembered his promise from last night to take her stargazing, and told her not to be too late. Tianda dressed up nicely and went to the ice cream shop. Tang Mu, upon hearing that they were living together, was very excited. Tang Mu said that Tianda's lucky color was green, and Tianda immediately closed the shop and went shopping for clothes. Su Mu and Mi went to pick up their mother. She was a meteorology expert and also a popular blogger. Su Mu and Mi took their mother to the meteorological bureau. Su Mu remembered his appointment with Tianda, but Miyu insisted that he stay and eat lunch with their mother. She even called Hui Zi to come too. Tianda waited and waited but still didn't receive a message from Su Mu. Tang Mu also had something to do and had to leave first, and she felt a bit lonely by herself. Su Mu texted saying that he was busy and told Tianda to go on ahead and that he would catch up with her later. Mother Su asked about their project, and it turned out that she knew Dr. Gao. Su Mu, before even having a chance to eat, quickly left. He just met Hui Zi as he walked out the door. Su Mu met Hui Zi as he was leaving, and he said that he had an urgent matter and had to leave first. Hui Zi, upon hearing about Dr. Gao, said that he could try going to White Sand Island. Tianda had already arrived at the zoo, waiting for Su Mu, but Su Mu thought that Tianda wanted to go stargazing, so he had gone to the wrong place. After calling, he realized that she wanted to see gorillas and quickly took a taxi there. Tianda's phone had just run out of battery, and she thought that Su Mu had tricked her, so she stood waiting at the gate feeling upset. People came and went around her in a hurry, but Su Mu still hadn't appeared. Just as Tianda was feeling lost, Su Mu finally arrived. The zoo had already closed, but she wasn't angry. She just said that they would go another time. The two of them maintained an awkward atmosphere, and at the bus stop, they got on the bus without saying a word to each other. Su Mu saw that her hair was loose, looking a bit uncomfortable, so he took off his earphone and used it as a hair tie for her. Tianda was once again moved. The driver braked suddenly, and Tianda lost her balance, falling into Su Mu's arms. Both of them had physical contact with each other. They found an empty seat, and Su Mu plugged in his earphones, playing music with one earphone in each of their ears. Su Mu explained that he thought that Tianda meant the stars in the sky, so he had gone to the planetarium. Tianda finally understood, and they made a date to go see them together next time. Everyone on the bus gradually got off, and Su Mu and Tianda sat closer and closer to each other, and the atmosphere became increasingly ambiguous. After getting off the bus, Su Mu answered a phone call while holding Tianda's hand as they crossed the road. The two continued to hold hands like that for a long distance. The security guard, seeing this scene, was very comforted. Su Mu bent down to tie his shoelace, and they let go of each other's hands. However, he had made a date with Tianda to go to White Sand Island together tomorrow to meet Dr. Gao. This scene was witnessed by Tianda's mother from the balcony. Father Tian had been injured, so he and Mother Tian had returned home early. Tianda checked on her father a bit, and then went upstairs to find her mother. Mother Tian started to pry about her relationship with the guy from just now. Su Mu returned home. Mother Su and Mia gossiped for a while, making Su Mu think about Tianda, whom he had just parted with not too long ago. Tianda said that she and Su Mu were just neighbors and not dating, but Mother Tian naturally didn't believe it. Mother Su was staying at the villa for a few days. Mia told Su Mu to take her to the school tomorrow to give a lecture, and Su Mu happily agreed. Hearing that Su Mu had just been to the zoo, Mother Su and Mia were both very surprised. He had been adamant about not going before. Mia asked Sumu if he was in love. Sumu honestly admitted his feelings. Mother Tian had never seen Tian hide anything from her like this before, so she was determined to catch them in the act. She called Li Di, and he said exactly what Tian had said. They were indeed going to attend a meeting together. Mother Tian specifically asked for the time. Li Di thought that Tian had lied, so he quickly called her to confirm. Tian kept waffling about not knowing if Sumu liked her or not. With how they were indeed dating, but Sumu had never said anything. Tian couldn't figure it out, so she gave up and wore Sumu's earphones, falling asleep. Early the next morning, Mother Tian had already come to wake her up. As soon as she left the door, she started to carry out her plan, secretly following behind her. But in the blink of an eye, Tian had disappeared. Coincidentally, Sumu was driving Mother Su to give a lecture, so Mother Tian had an idea. Following anyone would do. Unable to find Tian, Mother Tian had no choice but to take a taxi and follow Sumu's car. As soon as they arrived, Mother Su got out of the car. Mother Tian was a bit confused. What was going on? The location of Tian's meeting was also at Mother Su's school. She saw two fish and was haggling when Mother Su bought them at the original price. Tian quickly tricked her, saying that these fish weren't good and that she shouldn't buy them. In the end, Tian successfully bargained and bought the two fish that she wanted. Mother Su turned around and saw Tian holding the two fish from just now, and she finally realized that she had been tricked. Tian and Li Di arrived at the venue to line up. When she looked up, she saw Sumu. He said that Mother Su had a lecture there, and that he had come to take her there. Mother Su happened to walk over. Tian, upon seeing her, was startled and quickly pulled Sumu away. Tian explained the situation, but first impressions were very important, so her explanation was useless. Just as the two of them were about to go outside, they saw Mother Tian and quickly hid. Tian was completely unaware that she had put her hand on him because she was too stressed. To avoid Mother Tian pulled Sumu into the library. The group acted out a game of cat and mouse in the library. Sumu pulled Tian into a hidden corner. The two of them were crammed into a small space, and they could even clearly hear each other's heartbeats. After Mother Tian left, Tian and Sumu returned to the venue. Li Di, seeing them come back together, was a bit angry. Sumu said that he had to leave for something, and Li Di noticed that Tian's face was red and was a bit confused. Mother Tian had struggled all morning and hadn't even caught a glimpse of her daughter. While waiting for a taxi, she happened to meet Sumu and Mother Su. The two of them were very warm and offered to drive her home. At the end of the meeting, Li Di also had something to do, and Tian went to find her mother. On the way in the car, Mother Tian started to ask Sumu if he had a girlfriend. Mother Su said that he had a girlfriend, that she was very beautiful and cute, and even got up early to make breakfast for him. Mother Tian immediately denied that it was Tian. After all, she slept in until noon every day. However, Mother Tian remembered Tian's unusual behavior early that morning and had an epiphany. Mother Tian felt that Tian was in love and hadn't told her, and she was a bit unhappy. After her daughter returned home, she immediately ordered her not to go anywhere for the next 2 days and to stay home and make breakfast for her parents. Sumu made a date with Tian to go to the island. Tian quickly coaxed Mother Tian to put on a face mask, and when she was fast asleep, she snuck away. Dr. Gao's house was on White Sand Island. Tian was dreaming that she and Sumu would have romantic moments on the boat, but reality was actually very dramatic, scaring Tian and causing her to scream the whole way there. As soon as she arrived on the island, she threw up. Sumu only knew that Dr. Gao was on White Sand Island, but he didn't know the exact address, so the two had to go looking for it. Tian was captivated by the scenery on the island. Sumu helped her take some photos, but his straight guy photography skills left Tian a bit speechless. Mother Su went out to exercise and coincidentally met Mother Tian. She took the opportunity to ask her if she knew where the market was and also reminded her that there would be a storm later and she should bring her clothes inside. Tian and Sumu searched for a long time, but still couldn't find Dr. Gao. They ran to a convenience store to buy 2 bottles of water and even mistook an old man for him. Afraid of getting hit, Sumu quickly pulled Tian away and ran. Tian suddenly asked, "Every time Sumu saves her, does that mean he likes her?" Sumu was startled by Tian's sudden question. He turned around intending to admit it, but Tian had already run away. A child fell, and Tian and Sumu together took him home. Mia and Huizi were swimming together. Huizi wasn't going to White Sand Island with Su Mu, and Mia didn't say anything either. Tianda and Su Mu took the child home and coincidentally learned about Dr. Gao. He lived here, but he wasn't home now. He had probably gone jet skiing in the sea. He kept calling Su Mu, but couldn't get through. Li Di kept calling Tianda too, but couldn't get through. Li Di was a bit worried and asked Yanni what their relationship was. But the problem that Yanni was concerned with was whether Xiao Yu had a boyfriend yet. Yanni and Li Di met Mia and Huizi at the pool and quickly introduced Li Di to them. Upon hearing that Su Mu had gone to White Sand Island, Yanni finally understood. White Sand Island didn't have a cell signal, so that's why they couldn't get through. But Li Di was even more worried. Could it be that Su Mu and Tianda were really together? Tianda accidentally fell on the beach and her leg started bleeding. Su Mu was very worried and told her to wait for him there. Su Mu ran to the child's house just now, blurting out, "My girlfriend is injured. I need bandages and alcohol." Tianda was busy playing on the beach and didn't realize that her fish had been swept away by the waves. Reacting, she quickly chased after it. Su Mu returned with the bandages and alcohol, but didn't see Tianda anywhere. He only saw someone floating far away on the surface of the sea. Su Mu quickly jumped into the water to find the person, feeling worried, when Tianda suddenly came up out of the water, holding her fish. Su Mu anxiously hugged Tianda. Tianda explained that she had gone to look for her fish and, moreover, she knew how to swim. Even if she didn't know how to swim, the water was very shallow here. After getting completely wet and reaching the shore, the two met Dr. Gao. Dr. Gao was a bit embarrassed. He missed his wife, so he had come here. Dr. Gao took them to his house. Tianda's leg was bleeding again, so Su Mu carried her to the sofa, also not forgetting to tease her about being fat and needing to lose weight. The wound on Tianda's leg looked very serious. Dr. Gao quickly got some medicine, also tricking them, saying that if the infection got severe, they might have to amputate her leg. The process of applying the medicine was very painful, so Tianda gripped Su Mu's arm tightly, gritting her teeth to endure it. Su Mu very carefully applied the medicine and bandaged her up. Dr. Gao brought some dry clothes and told them to quickly change out of their wet clothes. A moment ago, Tianda had gripped Su Mu's arm very hard, but he was worried that if he cried out, she would let go, so he had endured it without saying a word. After showering, Su Mu took the hairdryer to help Tianda dry her hair, and Tianda quickly thanked him. Li Di, hearing that Mia was Su Mu's older sister, was a bit surprised. Yanni explained that one person took their father's last name and one person took their mother's last name, also saying that Huizi had always liked Su Mu. Huizi and Mia were worried about Su Mu. Li Di then received a phone call from Mother Tian, saying that Tianda still hadn't returned home, and everyone immediately understood. Mia had always wanted to set Huizi and Su Mu up, but Huizi had already done everything that she could and didn't want to take the initiative anymore. Tonight, there was a big storm on White Sand Island, so Tianda and Su Mu had no choice but to stay. Dr. Gao made a table full of food, and Tianda was planning to get drunk and forget everything with him. But Su Mu stopped her because her leg was injured. Su Mu didn't know how to drink, but he picked up a glass of wine and drank with Dr. Gao, and he also patiently peeled shrimp and put them into Tianda's bowl. Dr. Gao understood and said that Su Mu spoiled his wife just like he did. Mia was worried about Su Mu and Tianda. She had always thought that Su Mu was very dull, but now it seemed like he was very good at flirting. After 3 rounds of drinks, Dr. Gao and Su Mu had become kindred spirits, but they both listened very carefully to Tianda. When Tianda told them not to drink, they immediately put their glasses down. Mother Tian, seeing that it was still raining so heavily and that Tianda still hadn't returned, was so worried that she couldn't sit still. She also couldn't reach her by phone. Tang Mu comforted her, saying that Tianda had gone to White Sand Island with a friend. Su Mu and Dr. Gao finally talked about business. After talking, Dr. Gao went to sleep, leaving Tianda and Su Mu to sleep in the only living room. The two of them avoided each other, curling up into a corner. Neither of them could sleep. Finally, Su Mu couldn't take it anymore and opened his mouth to confess his love to Tianda. But Tianda had already fallen asleep. Tianda didn't hear Su Mu's confession. She had already fallen asleep. Su Mu heard her light snoring and smiled helplessly. Early the next morning, Tianda had barely turned over when she saw Su Mu lying opposite her, saying good morning to her. Tianda shyly buried her face in the blanket and quickly got up. Sumu tested to see if Tianda had heard anything last night, but besides the sound of thunder, she hadn't heard anything. Dr. Gao had already disappeared early in the morning. Tianda and Sumu then returned home. On the boat, Tianda started to feel nauseous, so Sumu grabbed her hand to alleviate her discomfort. After returning home, the two met Mia and Huizi. Huizi, seeing Sumu and Tianda together, felt a bit jealous. Tianda's parents were worried and anxiously paced around the house when Tianda returned, and Li Di was also there. Seeing that Tianda's leg was injured, Mother Tian, because she was still angry, didn't pay any attention to her. Li Di quickly took Tianda upstairs. Tianda said that she had gone to White Sand Island with Sumu, which once again stressed Li Di out. Li Di said that Clayton would be coming here in a few days to perform, and that the tickets could only be exchanged with autographs received in the first 2 days. Tianda was a bit embarrassed. She didn't remember where she had put the tickets. Sumu and Huizi were talking about business. Mother Su and Mia told them to go out and play, so the two went out to play with dogs. Tianda saw the two of them playing with the dogs together, and her heart felt a bit sour. Li Di poured fuel on the fire, saying, "Mia is setting them up." Tianda felt even more upset. Sumu also saw Li Di bringing Tianda to the entrance of the shop, and he couldn't even give her the bottle of medicine that he was holding. Huizi was passing by the ice cream shop and remembering the ice cream shop that Sumu had mentioned, decided to go in and buy one to try. Mother Su also went there. Tianda and Li Di were also present in the shop. Because of jealousy, Tianda ignored Sumu, and upon hearing that Huizi wanted to share ice cream with Sumu, she became even angrier. Sumu threw down the bottle of medicine and left. Tianda, feeling upset, decided to go play baseball with Li Di. Tianda absent-mindedly thought about the close relationship between Huizi and Sumu. After playing baseball, she went to eat with Li Di and Xiaoyu. Because she was feeling down, she just kept drinking. Yin Yi, hearing that Xiaoyu was also there, quickly ran over to eat with them. Mia decided to establish a branch in Japan, and when the time came, it would be managed by Huizi and Sumu. Xiaoyu no longer remembered Yin Yi, but Yin Yi wasn't angry at all and continued to butter her up. Yin Yi said that Sumu and Huizi were organizing an academic study at the company. Tianda immediately became unhappy and pulled Xiaoyu to go to the bathroom. Yin Yi clearly expressed his feelings for Xiaoyu. He said that if you like someone, you should definitely tell that person, and also said that Xiaoyu was very special to him and that he wanted to confess his feelings for her. Yin Yi suggested that they go camping together. Li Di, hearing that Tianda was also going, quickly agreed, and Xiaoyu also decided to go with him. Yin Yi received a phone call and quickly returned to the company, asking Sumu if he wanted to go camping with them tomorrow, but Sumu refused. All night that night, Tianda was restless and uneasy. Tianda's parents both liked Li Di, but Mother Tian's gut told her that they wouldn't be together. The next day, Tianda met Li Di, Yin Yi, and Xiaoyu, but unexpectedly, Sumu also came. The atmosphere in the car immediately became awkward. Only Yin Yi was completely oblivious. Sumu was still cold, sitting in the passenger seat, while Tianda and Xiaoyu teased Li Di in the back seat. Sumu couldn't take it anymore and rolled down the car window. Every time Li Di opened his mouth to talk, he would roll down the car window, which left everyone speechless. When they arrived, everyone gathered to take photos. Sumu refused to participate, so everyone asked him to take the photos for them. Sumu held the phone for a long time and still didn't take any photos. It was very difficult for him to take just one, and he even cut Li Di out of the frame. The place that Yin Yi had found had very beautiful scenery. He had also prepared tents and grills, and even bought fireworks. Li Di was helping Tian to set up the tent when Sumu went over, saying that they weren't doing it correctly, and then directly destroyed it. Sumu set up the tent by himself. Li Di pulled Tianda over to look at photos together, and both of them were lost in thought. Yin Yi was busy trying to get closer to Xiaoyu, but she was completely uninterested, unlike other girls. Sumu finished setting up the tent and saw that Li Di and Tianda were catching fish, so he went over too, but they went to grill the fish instead. Competition drove Sumu to brave the cold water and go into the water to catch fish, but when he turned around, he saw that Tianda and the others were busy having fun, completely ignoring him. Sumu had no choice but to join them in grilling fish. Yin Yi assigned him the task of catching fish, and then took everyone to play games. No matter what, Sumu just couldn't be happy. In the evening, everyone gathered to play King's game. Li Di drew King and took the opportunity to help Yin Yi. Li Di and Tianda drew tie shoelaces and had to walk around together. Su Mu's expression became even gloomier. Yin Yi drew king, and as a result, he ordered Su Mu and Li Di to do push-ups facing each other. Seeing the two men doing such an ambiguous act caused everyone to burst out laughing. Su Mu, feeling embarrassed, made an excuse and ran off. Yin Yi secretly told Li Di that he was going to set off fireworks to confess his feelings and asked him to find an opportunity to lure Tianda away. Li Di pulled Tian to go set off fireworks together. He felt that this time, Yin Yi was being sincere. Yin Yi was confessing his feelings to Xiaoyu. Tianda felt that it was too cheesy and couldn't listen anymore. She left first and unexpectedly ran into Su Mu at the beach. Su Mu looked angry, and the two argued back and forth. Tianda was jealous about the relationship between Su Mu and Hui Zi, and as she was talking, Su Mu unexpectedly hugged her. The unexpected kiss extinguished the bitterness in Tianda's heart. Xiaoyu was very calm in the face of Yin Yi's confession. When he reached out to kiss her, she directly slapped him. Li Di mistakenly thought that it was a signal and immediately lit the fireworks, unexpectedly creating an opportunity for others. Su Mu and Tianda, two hearts in love, confessed their deep feelings under the brilliant fireworks. Initially, he had thought that he couldn't live without ice cream, but now he realized that the person he couldn't live without was Tianda. The atmosphere between Yin Yi and Xiaoyu wasn't as good, but he absolutely didn't want to give up easily. Su Mu and Tianda returned, and the ambiguous atmosphere between the two was very obvious. Yin Yi was sulking the whole night because he had been slapped, while Xiaoyu had a slight flutter in her heart. The next morning, everyone woke up. Li Di complained that he had been fighting mosquitoes all night. Yin Yi bragged that he had had a dream, dreaming that an old man had been constantly clapping. Li Di felt a bit embarrassed. On the way back, everyone fell asleep. Su Mu and Tian secretly held hands. The two of them held hands as they walked home. Tianda wasn't used to having a boyfriend yet, so Su Mu suggested that they go on a date together today. When they reached the front of her house, the two of them coincidentally met Mother Tian. Tianda, out of reflex, pulled her hand away. Su Mu once again grabbed her hand. As soon as Mother Tian got home, she questioned Tianda about where she had gone last night. Tianda confessed that she and Su Mu were in love. Mother Tian was even more incredulous. How could Su Mu have fallen for her? Tianda was going out with Su Mu later, and Mother Tian specifically told her a few things, checking whether he really liked Tianda or not. Dating was fine, but being deceived wasn't. Father Tian felt that Mother Tian was managing too much. He was very confident in Tianda. Su Mu was happily going on a date, and Mia and Mother Su both couldn't believe it. Today, Su Mu had specifically driven a convertible, which he had bought with his scholarship money. Tianda was the first girl to ever sit in this car. Su Mu reached over to help her fasten her seatbelt, and Tianda very naturally pouted her lips, giving Su Mu an opportunity to kiss her. The two were to see a movie together. Yin Yi said that girls like to watch horror movies by themselves, so Su Mu booked out the entire theater. However, the situation was reversed. Tianda watched very intently, while Su Mu was so scared by the horror scenes in the movie that he screamed loudly. Mother Tian was still worried about Tianda, afraid that she would be deceived, and decided to go to Mother Su's house to gossip and learn about the situation. Mother Tian stood in front of the neighbor's house, coming up with countless reasons before finally ringing the doorbell. Unexpectedly, no one was home. After watching the movie, Su Mu and Tianda went to play games together. Tianda lost to a student, so Su Mu avenged her. Tonight, Su Mu would cook for Tianda, and the two decided to go to the market together to buy groceries. Unexpectedly, as soon as Tianda bought a cup of bubble tea, Su Mu received a phone call saying that there was an emergency at the company. He had no choice but to go back first. This time, Yin Yi really liked Xiaoyu. She was very special in his eyes. He was also in distress about not knowing how to confess his feelings. After talking to Li Di for a few sentences, Yin Yi went to the company. Su Mu dropped Tianda off at the entrance of the shop and then returned to the company. Tianda told Tang Mu that they were in love, looking incredibly happy. The branch in Japan had been boycotted by the alliance, and the company was experiencing some trouble. They needed time to come up with a detailed explanation. Su Mu quickly went to find Tianda, determined to finish it within half an hour. Even though she was with Su Mu, Tianda still couldn't quite believe it. The colleagues at the company were gossiping about how strange Su Mu had been acting lately, and they also mentioned some ambiguous photos of Su Mu and Huizi from a few days ago. Tianda was a bit unhappy and immediately asserted her ownership, saying that she was Su Mu's girlfriend. But they didn't believe her, thinking that Su Mu and Huizi were a couple. Tianda got so angry that she was talking nonsense. Unexpectedly, at that exact moment, Su Mu appeared. Su Mu appeared at the ice cream shop and took Tianda's hand, proving their relationship. The two female employees were so embarrassed that they didn't know where to hide their faces. Su Mu and Tianda went to the supermarket together to buy groceries, planning to cook together tonight. Lately, Yinny had become very enthusiastic about baseball, with the goal of getting closer to Xiaoyu. He felt that Xiaoyu liked him, and she just didn't know it yet. No matter how Xiaoyu looked at him, he regarded Xiaoyu as his girlfriend. Li Di, hearing Yinyi's words, felt sad inside. It seemed that he was really rigid when it came to love. Tianda told Su Mu about her design. The sky house that she had designed was too unrealistic, and she was given a 0 by the judges. Su Mu secretly remembered this matter in his heart. At the wooden house on top of the mountain, Su Mu had prepared dinner. The two of them were very sweet. From today on, they were officially lovers, able to go home together and have breakfast together. Tianda nodded her head repeatedly. After their date, Tianda returned home feeling very happy. Mother Tian felt that Su Mu was very good and responsible, and that when it was time for them to get married, the bridal car wouldn't even have to leave the neighborhood. Talking about Tianda's upcoming study abroad, she and Su Mu had just gotten together. If she was really accepted, then this would be a true challenge for them. Tianda was feeling conflicted when she opened her email and found out that she had been accepted and that she had to go to Beijing for an interview in a few days. If the interview was successful, Tianda would be able to study abroad in England. But if that was the case, what would happen to Su Mu? Li Di called, and Tianda happened to have something that she wanted to talk to him about. So the two made plans to meet later. Su Mu called Tianda to the balcony. He wanted to ask if Mother Tian agreed to them being together. After learning that Mother Tian was very satisfied with him, Su Mu smiled happily. Tianda was sad because the two of them might have to live far apart. They played a very childish game, just looking at each other silently, without saying a word. Early the next morning, Tianda woke up and realized that Su Mu was next to her. It was because last night she had said that she wanted to see him as soon as she opened her eyes. Su Mu, afraid of disturbing Tianda's parents, had climbed in through the balcony. As the two were being lovey-dovey, Mother Tian pushed the door open and walked in. For a moment, all three of them froze. Mother Tian confirmed again and again that she wasn't seeing things. And then, stiff as a board, she stepped outside. Su Mu said goodbye to Tianda's parents and then went back home. Tianda told her parents that she was about to go to Beijing for an interview, and that she was sad inside because she was worried about Su Mu. Tianda had never cooked for Su Mu, so Father Tian passed on his experience to her. However, Tianda really had no talent for cooking. The dishes that she made didn't reach the mark in terms of color, flavor, or presentation. Tianda's parents still encouraged her, and very presciently, they ordered takeout. Father Tian told Tianda to invite Su Mu to their house for a meal tomorrow, and to take the opportunity to talk. Father Tian was very serious and wrote an invitation, telling Tianda to bring it to Su Mu. Tianda felt very stressed when facing Su Mu, while Su Mu accepted the invitation and kissed her in front of Tianda's parents. Tianda blushed and ran back home. The next day, Tianda was still washing her face when Su Mu arrived. He was wearing a neat suit and holding a bouquet of flowers, looking very formal, a complete contrast to Tianda's messy appearance in her pajamas. Tianda's parents were also dressed very formally, and the three awkwardly sat and talked to each other, with Tianda's occasional noisy interruptions. The water pipes broke again, and Su Mu volunteered to fix it. After fixing them, he accidentally got completely wet. Tianda quickly apologized, and Su Mu once again kissed her. Because their clothes were wet, Tianda quickly took Su Mu to her room to dry his hair. Su Mu accidentally found the missing chip in her room, and he finally understood everything. Tianda tiptoed to help him dry his hair. Su Mu looked at her. The corners of his mouth turned up, and once again he couldn't restrain himself. Once again, Su Mu couldn't restrain himself and kissed Tianda, and both blushed with embarrassment. After changing clothes, Tianda brought the suit to find Su Mu on the balcony, where they had first met, and also a place filled with memories. While eating, the two couldn't stop laughing foolishly. Mother Tian wanted to know who had pursued whom, but Father Tian quickly interrupted to stop that question. After the meal, her parents told Tianda to see Sumu out. Even though their houses were close, they couldn't skip the proper etiquette. Tomorrow, Sumu's mother would be returning, and he planned to take Tianda to meet her. Li Di had managed to get 2 tickets for the performance match, and, of course, 1 ticket was for Tianda. However, Tianda was worried about meeting Sumu's mother tomorrow, afraid that she would make a bad impression because of what had happened before. The next day, Tianda put on makeup very meticulously, as if she had become a different person. Her parents felt that something was a bit off, but Tianda wanted to make a special impression. She brought a gift and went to her neighbor's house to meet Sumu's mother, but he didn't even notice her change. Sumu reassured Tianda that his mother was face blind, so she didn't need to worry about her appearance. But unexpectedly, Mother Su immediately recognized that Tianda was the girl who had bought the goldfish the last time. Tianda just wanted to find a hole and crawl into it. After experiencing the embarrassment, Tianda got up and went into the kitchen to help Sumu cook. But seeing the two of them being so lovey-dovey, Mother Su and Mia had no choice but to order takeout because they didn't know when the meal would be ready. After the meal, Sumu walked Tianda home. He couldn't restrain himself again, but this time, Tianda stopped him, saying that they were adults now and couldn't act like this anymore. However, after saying that, Tianda still couldn't resist and kissed Sumu. As the two were immersed in the kiss, a sudden bright light forced them to stop. It was Li Di who had arrived. Li Di witnessed the scene of Sumu and Tianda together and was heartbroken. Tianda didn't notice Li Di's mood and continued to tell him that she and Sumu had only started dating recently and that she was about to go to Beijing for an interview. Li Di quickly hid the tickets to the match and made an excuse to leave. Li Di secretly hid his unspoken feelings and quietly left alone. Under a heavy rain, he went to watch the match, but unexpectedly, the match was canceled because of the rain. Li Di, lonely, clutched the ticket in his hand and cried for a long time in the rainy night. Meanwhile, Yinny was at the shop chatting with a girl. Tang Mumu seemed to really like him, but Tianda quickly reminded him that Yin Yi was pursuing one of her younger classmates. She needed to clarify the situation. Tianda intentionally arranged a meeting between Yin Yi and Tang Mumu. Yin Yi realized that Tang Mumu had feelings for him, so he intentionally acted like a bad boy. He said that he already had someone in his heart, and that because of Xiao Yu, he had changed a lot. He also hoped that Tang Mumu would find someone who was willing to change. For her, Li Di, while drinking, coincidentally met Mia. He was very sad. Mia clearly saw that Li Di liked Tianda, and that was the reason why he was heartbroken. But Li Di said that he was genuinely happy for Tianda. He understood that they would never be a couple, but the fact that they could still be good friends made him feel very lucky. Mia sighed. If Li Di had been a bit more courageous, perhaps things would have been different. Since meeting Li Di, Mia had suddenly become lost in thought about him, her mind filled with images of him. Tianda coincidentally met Huizi and saw that she was being scammed. She immediately stepped in to help chase the scammer away. Huizi was grateful and invited her to have coffee. Very quickly, she was drawn in by Tianda's enthusiasm and also understood why Sumu liked her so much. Before, Sumu had been a very dull person, but thanks to Tianda, his life had become full of color. The problem with the company's branch in Japan had been resolved. Everyone commented that Sumu's spirits were getting better and better, perhaps because he was in love. Huizi immediately mentioned Tianda, and they talked for a long time about her. Huizi also really liked Tianda. When Tianda was mentioned, Sumu was full of life. Because he had to go on a business trip to Beijing that night, he immediately went to see Tianda to tell her. Sumu told Tianda that he had to go on a business trip to Beijing tonight, for about 3 days, but that he still had some time before leaving and wanted to spend it with her. The two stopped by the ice cream shop, their affection as sweet as a new couple. Even Tang Mumu couldn't stand it and had to turn away. After that, Sumu flew to Beijing, and Tang Mumu finally understood what Tianda had said before. Love relies on feelings, not on things like zodiac signs. Tianda felt a bit sad and began to waver on whether she should go to Beijing for the interview. When Sumu left, Tianda's life became a bit dull. She looked for all sorts of things to do. To pass the time, after finishing work, Sumu immediately called Tianda, also playfully taking off his shirt in front of her through the phone screen and saying that he was getting ready to take a shower and then go to sleep. Tianda quickly took a screenshot and then shyly hung up. Seeing Sumu's perfect physique, Tianda blushed and quickly burrowed under the covers. After showering, Sumu continued to work until late at night before going to sleep. The next day, Tianda couldn't wait any longer and decided to go to Beijing that day. When Tianda's mother heard that Sumu was also in Beijing, she became a bit worried. But Tianda reassured her that they had lived together before and nothing had happened. Mother Tian still didn't forget to tell her daughter what she should and shouldn't do. Meanwhile, Sumu had been working all night, finished the design sketches, and decided to return to Star Moon City that day. On the taxi to the airport, both Sumu and Tianda kept their plans secret in order to surprise each other. Their hearts were filled with excitement when they thought about their upcoming meeting. As soon as she arrived in Beijing, Tianda immediately went to the hotel reception to ask for Sumu's room number. But the receptionist couldn't reveal the information arbitrarily. At the same time, Sumu had returned to the ice cream shop and called her, but they missed each other. That moment made Tianda feel extremely surprised. Sumu quickly contacted Yi, asking him to arrange for Tianda to stay in a room that Sumu often stayed in. Even though he wasn't there, the room was still filled with his presence. After showering, Tianda received a call from Sumu. Both of them laughed when they thought about how humorously they had missed each other. Tianda had her exam tomorrow, and Sumu made a date with her to pick her up at the airport after her exam. Tianda's exam went smoothly. In reality, the school had sent her an acceptance notice as soon as they sent out the exam notification. They greatly admired her talent and asked her to prepare to apply for a visa to enroll in a week. Hearing the deadline of only 1 week, Tianda was stunned with surprise. From early in the morning, Sumu had flown to Beijing to pick up Tianda. When she met him, she unconsciously hid the acceptance letter. After returning to Beijing, Xiaoyu made a date with Yin Yi. Because the plane had been delayed, Yin Yi was late and apologized to Xiaoyu as soon as he met her, but she wasn't angry at all. Upon meeting Xiaoyu, Yin Yi suddenly became awkward, acting like a fool. Xiaoyu smiled and said that she liked fools like him. Unexpectedly, Xiaoyu accepted Yin Yi's confession. No matter what had happened before, she didn't care, but if he dared to do anything wrong in the future, she wouldn't forgive him. When talking about the future, Yin Yi was a bit worried because he had to take responsibility for the work at the branch in Japan, but Xiaoyu didn't mind the fact that they would be living far apart. Sumu, seeing Tianda eating, felt that everything tasted better, while Mother Tian and Mother Su were sitting and chatting happily. They talked about the small house that they had built on Star Moon Mountain, and that the house had been built according to Tianda's design. The more they talked, the happier the two mothers became. Mother Tian also said that she was very open-minded, but only hoped that her children knew what they should and shouldn't do. Sumu had picked up Tianda from Beijing, and both Mother Tian and Mother Su felt very at ease and satisfied seeing the two of them together. However, Tianda was tired all day today, and her stomach felt a bit uncomfortable, which left both mothers bewildered. They seemed to be gradually understanding something. Mother Tian pulled Tianda back home. When her father learned that she had passed the exam, he was very happy, but Tianda was worried about the long-distance relationship with Sumu, and her face was sad. Her father comforted her, saying that if they truly loved each other, long distance wouldn't be anything to worry about. He also said that love and ideals could absolutely be balanced. No matter what Tianda chose, her family would always support her. While Tianda was still feeling conflicted, Li Di came over, and the two sat and drank together. Li Di said that he had officially joined his father's company, but it was through a serious interview process, and even though he was only an intern, he believed that he would become a full-time employee. Lately, Li Di had been in a pretty good mood. He had thought things through and was no longer sad about the things that had happened before. Meanwhile, Tianda felt even more confused. The fact that she was about to study abroad in England meant that she and Sumu would have to separate. Li Di advised that people who were meant to be together would eventually be together. As for him and Tianda, they would forever be good friends. In Tianda's heart, Li Di would always be her cute younger brother who would always help her, no matter what happened. In the days that followed, Tianda and Sumu still stuck to each other, their love as sweet as ever. Sumu sensed that Tianda had something she wanted to say, otherwise she wouldn't have called them to meet at night like this. He guessed that it was probably related to the exam. Tianda shared that if she went to study abroad, then they would have to live far apart, but she didn't want that to happen. Sumu also didn't want to break up with Tianda and joked that she should stay. However, Tianda's words left Sumu a bit conflicted. He made a date with her to go stargazing tonight, so that both of them could look up at the starry sky together. After returning home, Tianda rummaged through her closet looking for a swimsuit. She only had two swimsuits, a children's swimsuit and a one-piece swimsuit. Mother Tian said that she was all grown up now and should switch to wearing a bikini. So, her mother immediately took Tian to buy a new swimsuit. Coincidentally, they ran into Li Wan, a university friend of Mother Tian's, who now worked as a server there. Li Wan was divorced, and when she mentioned her ex-husband, she shared that real feelings couldn't be relied on, that her husband had cheated on her many times over the years. Hearing this, Mother Tian couldn't help but sigh that people change so fast, and that women must have their own careers. Hearing their story, Tianda unconsciously thought about herself and began to waver on whether she should stay or not. Su Mu was busy and didn't have time to talk to Tianda. Feeling bored, Tianda called Li Di, but he was also very busy because he had just joined the company. Everyone had busy and full lives, and Tianda felt like she was the only one who was too idle. She worried whether she would become like Li Wan in the future. When Su Mu finished his work, he went to the beach with Tianda to stargaze. When she was little, Tianda had loved playing on the beach and had always dreamed of exploring the world outside. Now that she was all grown up, she had seen that world, which was colorful and interesting, but in her heart, she had always yearned to return home. Su Mu sang softly in her ear, which deeply moved Tianda. When a shooting star flashed across the sky, Tianda quickly took out her phone to take a picture and make a wish, but Su Mu unexpectedly kissed her and took a photo of that moment with his own phone. Su Mu wouldn't let Tianda take off her coat, and the swimsuit that she had prepared didn't get a chance to be used, which left Mother Tian a bit disappointed. Back home, Tianda went to the balcony. Seeing that Su Mu was still working, she didn't want to disturb him. Su Mu, seeing her back as she walked away, felt a bit confused, but then he quickly returned to his work. The next day, Tianda went to the company to find Su Mu, but Yenny said that he was in a meeting and told her not to wait because he would be going to Japan soon and would have to be away from Xiaoyu for a while. Yenny said that Su Mu had a very successful career and that Tianda only needed to stay home, have children, and do housework. That would be enough. But just thinking about that scenario made Tianda's head hurt. She worried that if she didn't take good care of the children or didn't do the housework well, Su Mu would leave her. When Yenny returned, he told Su Mu that Tianda looked very confused. All day long, Tianda was like she was lost in her thoughts, not knowing what she was thinking. After thinking it over all day, she decided that she would go study abroad. She believed that distance and time wouldn't change love. She loved Su Mu, but she also loved herself, her ideals, and her dreams. Tianda's parents were very happy. They hadn't expected that their daughter would grow up so much because of this relationship. The enrollment date was the day after tomorrow, which meant that Tianda had to leave tomorrow, but she still hadn't told Su Mu. She called him to tell him, but Su Mu said that he wouldn't have time to see her off tomorrow. Meanwhile, Mia went to see Li Di and unexpectedly confessed her feelings to him. Li Di was so surprised that he was stunned, quickly explaining that he didn't want to get in the way of Su Mu's and Tianda's relationship. But Mia insisted that she didn't care about Su Mu. Li Di had always regarded Mia as an older sister, but Mia didn't mind. She said that he could consider her as his older sister, but that she would consider Li Di as her boyfriend. Su Mu had asked Yin Yi to pick up Tianda's family and take them to the airport. On the car ride, Tianda fell asleep and dreamed that her friends were standing still, not paying any attention to her. When she started to panic, many drones unexpectedly appeared in the sky, and they arranged themselves to form the house that Tianda had always dreamed of. Su Mu appeared and told her that this wasn't a dream and that he would always be by her side. In reality, Su Mu had met Tianda's parents a long time ago. When he found out that Tianda had the intention of giving up her opportunity to study abroad because of him, Su Mu, although respecting her decision, didn't want her to lose her dreams because of him. So, he contacted Tianda's parents, Li Di and Yin Yi, and they said those things to convince her to continue with her studies. Everything that happened wasn't a dream. No matter where they were, their hearts would always love each other. Time and distance couldn't defeat their love, and Tianda and Su Mu would be happy together forever. The movie ends here. Thank you for watching the entire video.